Welcome back to another video from the Debate Room podcast. As you can tell by the title, this is our NFL Wildcard Weekend recap. Man, this was one of the best wildcard weekends of all time. It's not even over yet. We still got the Texans versus Steelers. Virtually every game came down to the wire, even the low-scoring game of the weekend with the Patriots and Chargers. The Chargers still had a chance to win with like 8 minutes to play in a game. It was pretty much an all-time great wild card weekend. We had comebacks. We had all of the games being close. We had high-scoring games. We had everything. I mean, even the narratives that are going to come from this week are really, really good, really, really entertaining. And I think it will lead to a lot of change this offseason. And that's what the playoffs are about. So I was pretty, for the most part, I was pretty happy with how things went this weekend in terms of my agendas and the teams I wanted to win. So I was happy to see that. We're going to get right into it. We're going to break down every game, talk about the future of these teams, especially the teams losing. In this video, make sure you guys like the video. Comment your thoughts on your teams. If your team was a playoff team, your result this wildcard weekend and the future of that team. And follow us on our social media platforms to keep track of when we're uploading videos. So we're going to start off with, we're going to go in reverse order and start off with the Chargers losing to the Patriots, or the Patriots winning their first playoff game in 7 years, however you want to frame it. But we'll frame it like this. Justin Herbert's playoff struggles continue as the Chargers lose 16-3 to the Patriots. I am a big fan of both of these quarterbacks. So I was kind of, it was kind of a struggle for me to watch Herbert struggle, but I was duly delighted with Drake May getting his first playoff win. Now he struggled as well, especially in that first half. And this was the most defensive game of every game in this wild card weekend. I want to open up by addressing the elephant in the room and addressing what's going to be the most talked about thing coming from this game head on. I'll talk about it. I really do think that there's not many, if there's not many, if any, quarterbacks in this league that would have succeeded under the circumstances that Justin Herbert played in last night. That is one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League, clearly. And they made the Patriots defensive line, which is not a good unit. They're not good at getting to the passer. They made them look like last year's Eagles. Not only was the protection awful, his best running back was injured and not playing, so the running game was not there really whatsoever. Greg Roman is not a good play caller. I don't know why we have to, like, we know this. We saw this with Lamar. We know Greg Roman is not a good play caller. His schemes aren't innovative. They're dated. They're old. Nobody was open. They don't have receivers that can just beat man. They don't. Like, Keenan Allen is good against zone. Lad McConkey is good against zone. I mean, I guess Quentin Johnson's like a contested catch guy. I guess. The receiver room is not good. The running back, the rushing game in this game at least wasn't good. The offensive line is ass. And they had Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, basically two all-pro caliber players, out for the whole season. There is not many, if any, quarterbacks that would have succeeded in the situation that Justin Herbert was in last night. However, you got to play better than that. That was awful. You had to play better than that. The circumstances were terrible, but you're regarded as a top 5 quarterback in this league. You're getting paid over $200 million a year. Well, not a year, I'm sorry. You're getting paid over $200 million. You have to play better than that. You have to. You can't have no touchdowns, 2 fumbles. Your pocket presence all night wasn't good. You missed reads. You look like you were panicking in the pocket. And I understand why you were panicking in the pocket, because it was collapsing on you the whole entire game. So I understand why you were panicking in the pocket. But the turnovers were inexcusable. You missed open reads. You missed a few touchdowns as well. And you just didn't get it done. And we're getting to the point where this is a trend of you not getting it done. And I think you have had a number of valid reasoning, valid excuses for why you played poorly in the playoffs, because the infrastructure around you has been awful in every single playoff run. But at a certain point, you have to uplift those circumstances. And if you're going to be considered this top 5 guy, one of the best in the world, you have to uplift those circumstances. And Justin Herbert, you're not doing that right now. As far as the Chargers, they made a playoffs again. Listen, I think John Harbaugh is a good leader, man, good coach. I'm not sure he's the answer. I mean, I'm gonna give him some more. I'm gonna give him some more time. Greg Roman, though, he has to go. And I don't. And Jesse Minter, hell of a defensive coordinator, he might be out the door because he's so good. He might get hired by. So like, there's so much variance on year to year with this team. Justin Herbert in hhis 6 years has already had 3 offensive coordinators. Like, this is not you, bro. This is a superstar quarterback. Get him a offensive mind as the coach, please. He needs stability. Greg Roman is not an innovative offensive mind, and he's not a good offensive coordinator in 2026. I'm sorry. It's been evident for a while now. I don't know why they hired him. They hired him because the Harbaugh connection thing. He was John's coordinator in the Ravens. I understand. If they lose Minter, the defense might take a step back because they're honestly not that talented. I think Minter has done a heck of a job with their scheming and stuff like that. So Jim Harbaugh is a good head coach. He's a great leader of men. He's a great culture builder. He's changed the culture in LA, but they need an offensive mind in this situation, and they need to get healthy on the offensive line. Speaking on this game in particular, the Patriots were able to get to Justin Herbert whenever they wanted. In the second half, they literally the Chargers offensive line held up in the first half. We know why? Because they weren't blitzing as much. As soon as they started blitzing and playing man, it was over. The Chargers receivers couldn't create separation. The Chargers offensive line cannot protect Justin Herbert. So that's really why they lost. And then Justin Herbert completely folded. He held on the ball too long. He didn't scramble enough, honestly. And that was the biggest difference. In terms of the Patriots, to me, Q, watching this team, it felt like I was watching 2 Justin Herberts. One is just the younger, more athletic version of him and not as rigid and takes more chances. That's what I was watching with Drake May. That's what it looked like I was watching. 2 Justin Herberts. One is younger and more athletic. And he was better. The Patriots, or in Drake May specifically, struggled to finish drives in the first half. They were getting down the field, but Drake May turned it over in the red zone, and he fumbled as well. In the red zone, I think he was a lot more decisive. I think he stood in the pocket a little bit longer in that second half and delivered passes down the field. And I think that the Chargers' inability to convert anything offensively, it just piled on, and then eventually they were going to score. So Drake May first half was sloppy. Well, no, I'm not going to say. I don't think he played that bad in the first half. I don't think he played that bad in the first half. They just couldn't finish drives.
He took some unnecessary sacks, and there was some errant throws. It wasn't like a bad first half. It was just, average. Okay, it was the turnover was worse than it seems. It was a tip ball turnover. So it's like it counts on the stat sheet, but if you watch it, it was just a tip ball turnover. Like that's what happened. It wasn't like he made a bad decision there. Overall, first playoff game. Yeah, the second half he was pretty much flawless, if you ask me. So that kind of makes up for whatever happened in the first half. They scored 16 points, but you gotta give them some grace. That still is a top 10 defense on the other side. Justin Herbert, you hit everything on the head. At some point, you just sometimes it's not excuses. Things are like there's reasons. Like obviously the offensive line is garbage. Our receiver core isn't as great. Like the running game, it wasn't as great today. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to overcome that. That's what you get paid $50 million a year to do, and he just wasn't doing that. Second snap of the game, he missed lad, no safety help, probably had a touchdown immediately. That would have been 7 points right there, plus a turnover. They would have been up 10, on the road. Like that would have put more pressure on Drake May. You're right. It was a battle of tens. this is like the prototypical, like this is like the prototype. This is comp. It kind of seems like, the narrative is going to be basically that Drake may snatch his chains. Now he's probably going to be considered a top 5 quarterback going forward with Justin Herbert looking out, because a lot of people are not going to overlook 0-3, 70 passer rating in the playoff. Like it's not looking good for him. You're right. There does need to be like an offensive shift for the Chargers, along with being able to stay healthy. Like they got to put a lot of resources into the offensive line, because that's where stems from most of their problems. If they could have that going, they could get a more stable offense. If they don't do that, everything's going to be volatile, and you're going to be forced to rely on Justin Herbert. And as we can see right now, he just can't do it. Like he don't have. Yeah, he has the tools, but he doesn't. I guess he doesn't have like the intangibles to get it done, consistently.
And it makes it even harder to defend Justin Herbert in a situation when you see that. I think that Drake May was under a lot of the same conditions in terms of being pressured on a lot of their dropbacks. I mean, Justin Herbert, according to NFL Pro, was pressure on 36.4% of his dropbacks, and Drake May was at 30.8. I mean, I think that's a significant difference. And PFF has him at 30 pressure, so that's a I don't know which one is more accurate. It definitely looked like he was pressuring more than 36% of his dropbacks, but Drake May was under pressure in this game a lot, and he was able to escape the pocket. He was able to stand in the pocket and get the ball out more than Justin Herbert. He did a better job reading the field in his game than Justin Herbert. So you see a quarterback who under similar circumstances and performing better than what Justin Herbert did. And the Chargers defense, we know, is better than the Patriots. I mean, obviously, I think the Patriots defense played better. They got more pressure, and they wrecked the game. But the excuses and giving the benefit of the doubt, Justin Herbert, at some point, is going to become like your play is going to become indefensible, and you're going to have to like just at some point just man up and like not even man up, but like just get it done. Like, and for me, I'm not even looking for a win. I'm not a win-loss quarterback guy. I'm looking for you to play well. He hasn't played well. That's a problem. I don't care about.
You gotta take it off of you. You just can't be the reason. Contrary to what like people like Ryan Clark may say, yes, if your receivers are dropping every pass and your defense is letting up 35 points and your run game ain't doing anything, but you went out there, gave them 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you just lose in a shootout, fine, so be it. But anything other than that is pretty much unacceptable.
Yeah, you have to be a part of the solution. You have to elevate, and it's definitely tough to do that. I don't think I really don't think a lot of quarterbacks could have played well under those circumstances. We saw Patrick Mahomes struggle in multiple Super Bowls when his offensive line wasn't viable. We saw Josh Allen struggle in the playoffs when his offensive line wasn't viable. The Bengals game come to mind. We've seen players struggle in these circumstances that Justin Herbert was in, but they also have performed at much higher levels than he has in the playoffs. So I still think that Justin Herbert is a top 5 quality quarterback. I got to reevaluate and see how high I'm going to boost Drake May in these conversations, because there's an argument for him being at best. I mean, I think there's an argument for him being the 4th best quarterback in the league, 5th best quarterback in the league. It's really just how much you want to index on just one season, obviously. But at some point, the story of this game is at some point, Justin Herbert, you got to put your nuts on the table, bro. You do. At some point. Let's talk about another great game. 49ers and Eagles. The Eagles championship defense ends in round 1. They were the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, and it ended in round 1 against the 49ers without multiple all-pro players. Fred Warner not playing, George Kittle not playing, Trent Williams just came back from injury. Ricky Pearsall is not an all-pro player, but he's their best receiver, is not playing in the game. Bosa not playing, and yet still, the Eagles offense struggles. Yet still, they go home in round 1, and yet still they disappoint in the playoffs yet again. And all I can say is Kyle Shanahan, pretty much. But let's talk about the game, Q. What went wrong for the Eagles in this game, and how did the 49ers upset the Eagles on the road?
What went wrong is that the Eagles were the same team they were all season long, and we've seen it in the very first round. Inconsistent offense, shaky locker room, hit or miss O line, regressed Saquon. Asterisk, I don't know if he's regressed or he had 2,000 yards last season, like 3,000 yards last season. Everybody in history, the next season usually just takes a dip because that's just a toll. But regardless of the fact you didn't have a 2,000-yard rusher, so that goes to the point of the shaky offense. And Jalen Hurts is not an uplifter at quarterback. The defense, you held a top 10 offense to 23 points. That's fine. Like 23 points to a top 10, like a top 10 offense, that's perfect. It's kind of shaky because there's no Kittle there, no Pearsall, no Ayuk, like you said, but that's still a decent job. You had enough, like they had an ample opportunity to like win the game. AJ Brown with his own specific issues, he dropped the ball 2-3 different times. He had those could have been changing, like could have flipped the game somewhere because those are like 20-yard basically completions. Saquon wasn't amazing. Like I said, Jalen Hurts just can't make throws. He don't got no zip on the ball. Like they showed us who we are, and I get it. They won a Super Bowl last year, but sometimes things just happen, and they was culminating a perfect season, and not everybody could go back to back. I never thought that was going to happen. Like I don't think Jalen Hurts is that kind of quarterback. Nick Sirianni is not that great of a coach. Like there's too many things like wrong with the team. Like I understand the roster is great, but there's more to it than just having a great roster.
I'm going to explain what I saw in this game from both sides of the teams or whatever. But I want to get this all first. I think that Nick Sirianni should be fired. I mean, pretty clearly. If Howie Roseman is who we think he is, this suave, great mind, best GM in the league, Nick Sirianni should be fired. He should be. This guy reeks of arrogance, but at the same time reeks of incompetency. He is completely reliant on how good of a offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator pairing he can put together. If those things are not perfect, the Eagles will have success because of how talented their roster is. But when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to consistently underperform. He is not a good head coach. He does not offer them any schematic advantage whatsoever. The whole thing with Nick Sirianni is that he's this leader of man, culture builder guy. When for the last 3 seasons, we've seen the culture in Philly be extremely toxic. Throughout the regular season, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts going at it. It's really one-sided because Jalen Hurts don't really respond. But we're hearing so much out of the locker room every single year. Last year, they were able to get away with it because they had an all-time great rushing offense and an all-time great defense. They had both of those. But when things aren't perfect, he doesn't add any value to a team. I really don't think he does that. And because he doesn't call plays, because he's not a good offensive mind, you're going to have so much year-to-year variation based on if he has a good coordinator in the building or not. And that's the reason why Jalen Hurts is so up and down. And that's why he has these great years and he has these up and down years and he has these bad years because he himself also is reliant on having a good offense coordinator because he's so limited as a quarterback. He's not great at reading the field. He's not great at reading the field past his first read. His pocket presence isn't good despite having consistently one of the best pass blocking offensive lines throughout his career. He is not that dynamic of a runner whatsoever. He can't throw on the run.
Can't hit over the middle of the field.
He is not an elite quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. But if the Eagles keep Nick Sirianni as the head coach, they're going to consistently fail in the playoffs. Because building rosters like the one they had last year is few and far in between, and it's hard to sustain. Because once the offensive line regress, once the secondary isn't as good, you see what happens. And there was a very clear difference in the level of coach last night. One coach was down a lot of their best players, and he was able to elevate his offensive situation with creativity and play calling, and the other can't score in the second half to save his life with a much better supporting cast. So Nick Sirianni should be fired. I don't care if they won a Super Bowl last year. That's how you be complacent. It's a process over results thing, and his process and his tenure has been bad. They won a Super Bowl again because they had an all-time great defense and an all-time great running back and an all-time great rushing game. That's why they won the Super Bowl.
Take it a step further, because we've seen this before. If we're gonna fire Nick Sirianni a year removed from making a Super Bowl, we should also be talking about drafting a quarterback a year removed from making a Super Bowl. It's the same situation we're going through. It's Philly. When things don't start adding up, you make the moves. If Howie is who he say he is, he's gonna fire Nick Sirianni. And I'm not saying trade Jalen Hurts, but I'm saying you draft a quarterback and put some pressure on Jalen Hurts. You're right. This was a tale of two, of basically the two kind of the same organizations, same type of. Not this year, but the Niners were always considered one of the top 5 rosters in the league. Brock Purdy gets a similar flack, as does Jalen Hurts, for being supported by great roster, and great coaching. Like, just so happened that he has Kyle Shanahan at the helm, and Jalen Hurts, and he also has Nick Sirianni. It just is what it is. Things are just plain and simple. Like I said, they've been showing us the same things all year. Nobody should be surprised about this. I guess they just thought they were going to magically flip a switch come to playoffs, even though we never seen that before from this team. So, I mean, hopes and prayers.
I definitely was not surprised on the outcome of this game. I didn't pick the Eagles to lose the game. However, I did think they were going to go into repeat to win the Super Bowl championship.
I thought they were going to lose. I put money on them.
Yeah, the 49ers, their defense just isn't good. But credit to Robert Saleh, because I feel like even myself, I give a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan, but he doesn't call the defense. Robert Saleh, really good job throughout the season dealing with injuries. The defense hasn't performed well, but I think it's quite clear that he should be a head coach in this league. He was unfortunately a head coach of the Jets, so I mean, hey. But in terms of this game, the Eagles established a run early on, and then they went away from it, and then it started working as well. I think that Jalen Hurts bailed out of the pocket way too often, but I also think that the play calling was conservative. I don't think it was innovative. Too many curls, too many hitches, too many or just deep balls. Like, it is like 3 options with this team. Everybody has seen this throughout the season. Kevin Patullo did not do a good job calling plays, and Nick Sirianni did not do a good job forming this offensive game plan throughout the season. AJ Brown missed multiple key receptions. The first pass he dropped, I feel like, or mistracked, I feel like that was pretty much on Jalen Hurts. He led him towards the safety. The second one was where he dislodged from the receiver and he just dropped the ball. That was on him. The other one on 3rd and 5, which they later converted, was on him as well. And it was just an accumulation of a disaster season in terms of that relationship between Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. And he was very loud and outspoken about how he wanted the ball and how he wanted to be involved in the offense. And in the biggest game of the season, you completely fold. To be honest, man, I really don't think AJ Brown is like that great. When I say that, I don't think like he's a top 5 guy. I just don't. I don't. And it's not even because of this one game. In terms of like he's an ex receiver, but his route tree is so limited. His hands this year were terrible. He's not like the best. You're always out there to catch guy. Like, I think he has a extremely limited skill set, and is really just more so based on like him being a physical specimen, which definitely works a lot of the time. He's obviously a great receiver. I just think there's definitely more than 5 guys better than him in this league. But that's me here or there. The interior offensive line wasn't able to create any type of push or like any holes to Saquon Barkley. A lot of their runs in this game was to the outside, and that's where they saw success. As far as the 49ers portion of this, it's a hell of an effort with George Kittle going down. They didn't blink. Brock Purdy made some explosive plays. Is his name DeMarco Robinson? I think
Marcus Robinson.
DeMarcus Robinson. he had the game of his career from the very jump. Obviously Brock Purdy made those 2 mistakes with the interceptions, but he was even killed. They stayed aggressive. Amazing play call from Kyle Shanahan with the Juwan Jennings play to Christian McCaffrey. Speaking of Christian McCaffrey, he was all world in this game, as he's been all world this entire season, especially as a receiver. I think that if I don't really have any memory of a receiving season from a running back that was better than that. He was legitimately a receiver this year, like receiver first, running back second, like slot receiver first, running back second. That he's an all-time talent in terms of what he does. And it was on display in his game. He is the offense. Like he is a heliocentric creator as a running back, which is a thing we don't really see a lot in this era of football. So shout out to
I think he single-handedly probably outperformed Saquon and AJ Brown together, like this season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. He was 16 receptions, right? He was like,
he was definitely top 10 for sure.
I think he was 16 receptions. So, in terms of the Eagles, I think they need to get younger on their offensive line and maintain the potency if they can. They need to fire Nick. Yeah, they need to fire Nick Sirianni. They need to get a better offensive mind in the building. They need to also revamp the secondary in terms of the cornerback 2 situation. Reed Blankenship, he's a free agent. I don't know what's gonna happen with him. But they got some decisions to make, some very tough decisions to make, including one for AJ Brown too, because I think that his outspokenness and temper tantrums this year was very detrimental to the locker room. So, I mean, they gotta ask themselves, Q, is the juice worth the squeeze with AJ Brown? Honestly,
his contract is incredibly hard to trade.
No, he definitely is. So I understand that, and I think they probably should keep him. But hard decisions to make, including even one at quarterback. Now, I don't like the draft this year. So I don't. This is a year to do it. Maybe next year. Because I don't really like. I mean, I don't really think anyone is going to be better than Jalen Hurts.
I mean, but ain't nobody like Jalen. They ain't like nobody like Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. That is true. The Bears stormed back to beat the Packers. They came back down from 21-3 to get their first playoff win in 15 years. Man, shout out to City. It was lit. It was lit, man. Everybody was spamming bear down, man. It was cool to see the city united, man. Everybody happy. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Actually, I mean, I think they're gonna lose in the next round, but another game where they come from behind. They've been comeback kids the whole season. Caleb Williams has got this Iceman thing going on where he's consistently playing well in high leverage moments, and they did it again. How do you want to attack this? You want to talk about the Bears first or the Packers first in terms of what happened in this game? Because I think the Packers lost the game more than the Bears won it.
I want to talk to Packers because I respect what the Bears did. Obviously, as you've seen in the Discord, I bet Bears money line when they were down 21-3. Like I just had a feeling because we've seen this matchup 3 times before, and the same type of thing happens. First half, Matt LaFleur, the coaching half, he pretty much did his thing, and they did have a lead. But then the second half, I don't know if it's specifically Caleb, if it's Caleb and Ben Johnson and the running game and offensive line, the whole combination, everything, but they seem to get better third and fourth quarter. Caleb Williams has legitimately been one of the best fourth quarter quarterbacks this season. Obviously, the competition before, like throughout the season, wasn't up to par, so you kind of get mixed messages about that. But this is legitimately one of the better teams that they played as the Packers. Was a good defense. I understand Michael Parsons wasn't there, but they were still up 21-3. So the defense was clearly doing their job at one point. But it's an epic collapse. And Matt LaFleur, conservative with the play calling. I think Jordan Love played a good game. Or Like I don't think it was anything on him, but between Caleb Williams heroics and Matt LaFleur not calling things in the right spots, they just collapse down the end. And that's exactly why you paid 2 first-round picks for a player like Michael Parsons, because when you up 21-3, now obviously it's obvious passing situations. You need somebody to go out there and tee after the quarterback, and that's what Michael Parsons does. That's what he provides. He was a league leader in pressures and sacks this season, and he missed 4 games. Like that's what you paid for a situation like this, and they didn't have him. And what do? You lose the game. I think Matt LaFleur, he was on a hot seat, but he may have a safe job because again, missed kicks. You left 6. I guess McManus left 7 points on the field. Defense didn't hold up. There was injuries. They were missing Tucker Crabb basically since the halfway mark of the season. So a lot of things probably saved Matt LaFleur's job, but they don't have any better options. But do you want to lock yourself long term into that like Matt LaFleur in this situation again with the questionable play calling moments? It's a lot of things going on for them. I don't really have an idea where they go next from here.
They've hit a roadblock in terms of their franchise where they just have not been able to advance far in the playoffs. And it's a lot of the same things happening it's in terms of blowing leads, in terms of the special team has been a real weakness for a very long time, even going back to the Aaron Rodgers era. Like the special teams has just not been good whatsoever. The defenses haven't consistently been good whatsoever. This year they had the injury excuse with Michael Parsons going down, and they had Tyler Crabb going down as well on the offensive side of the ball. In terms of why it blew this lead, I think that there was no adjustment to the Bears blitzing more in the second half until it was too late. And I don't think that Jordan Love or the offensive line handled the pressure well or the adjustment from Dennis Allen in that second half. They were too conservative at times. I think it was a lot of run, pass, or run on first down, then pass on second. Too much predictability in that aspect. And I think they only had didn't they only have like 1 rushing yard in the second half as well?
The Packers.
Yeah. It's somewhere close to that. The rushing production in the second half wasn't good whatsoever.
I think that was part of they didn't run the ball.
Yeah, and that was definitely an issue. I understand the Packers fans' frustration with Matt LaFleur. I think he's a really good offensive mind. But his game management has been questionable this year. His failure to adjust has been questionable this year. They blew multiple leads this season. I think they've blown 5 leads, if I'm not mistaken, this year. The defense completely fell apart as soon as Michael Parsons went down, which is understandable. He's a world bender on defense, so I understand that. I don't think they should move off of him, but I don't think they should offer Matt LaFleur a long extension, maybe 1 or 2 years, because I don't think there's better options out there in the market, given the advantage he can give you schematically as a play caller. But he has to improve his game management, his adjustment, his aggressiveness at times, especially with the talent that you have at quarterback. You have a guy that threw 3 touchdowns in the first half and was dominating the first half, and you gotta let him loose. Don't be conservative. Go try to win a game, not lose. If that makes sense. But yeah, I think the special teams is a real concern. Like they make 2 field goals in a an extra point, which were all very makeable, then this is not even a conversation. So he has that excuse along with the injuries they sustained this year. So I think they rightly should keep him as head coach. But very, very disappointed to a season that once showed a lot of promise. They were 9-3-1, looked like a contender in the NFC, and it all came down again to the Bears. Their second time blowing the lead to the Bears. In terms of the Bears, they have just performed extremely well at high leverage moments. I think a lot of it has to do with having a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who is really good in backyard football situations. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league in terms of sack avoidance, which is very, very ironic considering where he was last year. But his escapability is really good. The wide receivers on the team ability to scramble and find open spaces as Caleb extends the play is really good. Their play calling all year, I think, has been really good. I think Caleb struggled in the first half with timing, his accuracy, and that's why the offense struggled in the first half. I think that plays were open in the first half, though. I do think that Ben Johnson in the first half was too aggressive, too reckless, with going for it on fourth down, and that cost him points. But however, I do think that he was calling plays where people were open, and Caleb was missing them. In the second half, that persisted a little bit, and then in the fourth quarter, they just turned it on as they have done all year. Ultimately, though, I think the Bears will lose against the Rams because I don't think you can spot a team like the Rams that many points and then come back. I think their offense is too high powered, too good to do that, and I think that this defense is not good enough in terms of getting to the passer. Secondary is not good enough whatsoever. So even in your win, I think there is clear holes on this team that need to be addressed in the offseason, and it will be addressed in the offseason after the Bears, I think, lose to the Rams in the next round. We can move on. The Rams won a shootout with the Panthers, who have just given the Rams problems throughout the season, I guess. Second time they played them, and second time it came down to the wire in a close game. This time, the Rams get it done. They win. Matthew Stafford walks the Panthers defense down. And then Bryce Young can't make magic happen with 30 seconds left with no timeouts. Jimmy Horn drops a pass. It was kind of off target. It was definitely off target for sure. But the Rams escape with a 34-31 win and now have a very favorable matchup, in my opinion, against the Bears in a divisional round. Let's talk about the Rams, how they got this done, and we can talk about the Panthers' future going forward. Q.
Well, Rams, like you said, they were giving them issues. They seem to be able to get pressure at times, and especially in the first half. And I'd say like the first three quarters really, and that kind of like stifled Stafford here and there. He was still able to deliver some throws, but he did have the interception. He almost had that other interception when Puka basically saved that play. So it was a little jittery, regular, kind of thing that you see, especially in the last game that they played, the Panthers. But come fourth quarters and last two drives, Stafford turned it on. Last three drives, Stafford basically walked him down. Puka did something. He had some drops, but he played well. Kobe Parkinson played well. Devontae Adams took some hits, but he caught some crucial balls. At the end, it was the margin was just that thin enough, and that was just like, I guess, kind of like an MVP moment from Stafford. Like that was pretty much the difference. Like that little bit of time, and they did it. I guess Canales kind of got out coached the fourth quarter in and of itself, but Panthers did a good job. You couldn't ask for more. Obviously, the defense let up 34 points, but it's Matthew Stafford sleeping the cool with Devontae Adams. Like that's still a great offense. So you do what you could do. Bryce Young didn't. If you look at the box score, it doesn't scream great game, but if you watch the game, he did a lot with a little.
After the first quarter, he was really good.
Yeah, like the interception aside, like he pretty much walked him down. He was going band for band with Matthew Stafford, like touchdown drive for touchdown drive. That's literally what was happening. So I don't really blame him. The team that we thought was going to win end up winning at the end of the day. So I don't know if that makes us more confident in the Rams. That they squeaked out this win, or was the Panthers really that good? I don't know what to make of it. I still trust the Rams. I just was kind of shaky since we've seen this game before from this specific matchup.
I think that more so in the second half, the Panthers were able to get pressure on Matthew Stafford, speed him up a little bit, and dominate this offensive line a little bit, and that's what really allowed them to go on multiple 3-and-outs. I think that Matthew Stafford through a bulk of this game was not good. He wasn't. I mean, I think we kind of forget that considering
he was good. I'd say he was good. First quarter, like the first couple of drives to the first quarter, he was definitely great. Like the last couple minutes, but the in between, for the most part, you're right. He was definitely not like amazing.
Yeah, he started off, I think, like 4 for 4. Then he went like for 2 for 12 in the middle of that. He was very inaccurate He did hurt his hand, but he was inaccurate before he hurt his hand. Missing open receivers, missing plays. And that's why the Rams offense struggled a little bit. I think both quarterbacks had moments in this game where they struggled. But they were just able to get it done because the Panthers defense was not able to get a stop at the end of the game. I think they played admirably. I think the special teams was in the Panthers' favor. I think Bryce Young, after struggling at the beginning of the game and having that that interception he needs to get going, really turned it on. He was escaping outside of the pocket. His placement on like go balls and slot fades was really, really good, as it has been all year. And that propelled them to their offense to get pushing. The running game was not as good as you needed to be to start. And they got a little bit of juice going as well. So it was a really, really fun game. I'm excited for the future of this Panthers organization. Now, I'm not really sold on Bryce being the guy. I think his athletic limitations are still very apparent, especially as a guy that's that small and not particularly like really quick or strong or anything like that. And like seeing over the defense and stuff like that, he still struggles with, I think. And he's just not a good enough passer at this point in his career. But I think he's earned himself at least another year for sure, especially given the quarterback class that's coming up to prove himself. I think that why am I blinking on his name? Oh, Ted had a really good season, really good rookie year. He is a star in the making, and I think they got their ex-wide receiver. They knew
the two Jalen Coker.
Yeah,
he was the best receiver in the game.
Yeah, Coker is really good as well. Xavier Legette is obviously a really big letdown, for sure. They basically lit a first round pick on fire by drafting him. Pretty much.
It was a first round pick and another pick because they traded up to get that.
Yeah, the defense was good, especially against the run all year. The secondary was pretty good as well. So they have a foundation of running the ball defensively, but they just need to build around the edges and then find out if Bryce Young is the guy or not. So all things considered, hell of a season for the Panthers, especially given what they were last year and what they've been in the Bryce Young era so far. This is definitely a year where they're trending upward. I think there's so much like seesawness in the NFC South that they definitely are not a lot to be back here next year. So they need to address their concerns really well this offseason. But yeah, I think the Rams are in a position to make it to the NFC Championship pretty easily because I think that they're going to absolutely shred this Bears defense. Like there's definitely a clear gap between the Bears defense and the Panthers defense. So I think the Rams offense should be able to operate much better next game. And they scored 34 points in this game, and I'm saying that. So let's move on to the last game of Wildcard Weekend, which will be a prediction because the Texans and Steelers are playing.
Whoa.
We missed
Jags Bills.
Oh, we should have been talking. Hey, listen, I would have been talking about that. I would have talked about that. I would have talked about for the Rams. You know, let's go. Josh Allen takes over to beat the Jaguars. 27-24. Bro, I literally would have talked about that before the Rams and Panthers. What the hell? That was a much more it wasn't more entertaining, but more relevant, I would say. Yeah. Go ahead, Q.
Man. Wild card warrior, wild card merchant, as they would like to say, Josh Allen. Currently, the best quarterback in the league playing. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is injured. We don't really got to talk too much about that. But 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 108 passer rating on the road against a top 10 defense, 80% completion percent. Banged up. Obviously, he was dealing with a foot injury, knee injury in the game, hand injury in the game. Had to get checked for a concussion, and still, when you needed him, walk down the Jags. Was matching a touchdown drive for touchdown drive. Fourth quarter, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aside from the egregious, like we talked about, 10-yard touch push, pretty much was flawless football when you needed him to. Last 4 minutes, executed a drive, took down the Jags. I don't. This what we're watching is like historical things. Like 20, 25 years from now, when we're talking about Josh Allen, you're gonna think it was a lie. Like the numbers just seem fake when we talk about Josh Allen playoff numbers. Like it just seemed fake. And I get it. A lot don't got a Super Bowl, but that's more. It's more like you said, it's a team sport. It's not really a lot on him. Like he does, a good enough job for them to get to the Super Bowl. Like you said, the top 10 defense on the road. This is his first road playoff win. Like just magical. Counting him out, all the narratives and things like that. And he just put the team on his back.
I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the world, and I don't think that it has to necessarily be okay that Patrick Mahomes is injured, right? I think that over the last few seasons that Mahomes has taken a step back. I do think so. In terms of his ability to throw the deep ball, I think his accuracy has been worse. Now he's been under some very bad context, but I don't think Josh Allen has been in the best context whatsoever. I think that basically what I'm saying is I think Josh Allen is right there with Patrick Mahomes for the best quarterback in the entire world. I think that he has a case to be made that he is the best quarterback in the entire world. And I think a lot of people are going to say the difference between that is the Super Bowl wins, which I definitely understand, but we're looking at one of the best playoff performers in NFL history, Josh Allen. We're looking at, and people were saying, oh, he hasn't won or performed well. He hasn't won a road playoff game yet in his career. Well, now he got it done against one of the best defenses in the entire NFL without a good number one wide receiver whatsoever, clearly injured, under pressure, and he was damn near flawless for the entire game.
James Cook averaging yards a carry.
He didn't have a running game in this game. They took that away from him. It was solely on his back, and as he's done in his career, in the regular season, in the playoffs, he's consistently elevated a less than optimal situation, and he's done it every single year of his career since he's become Josh Allen. That's who he's been, elevating what we've seen to be less than optimal situations year in, year out, and rising in the playoffs and being one of the best playoff performers in the league and in history. He's only second to Patrick Mahomes in terms of playoff production, efficiency, and accolades in terms of, like going to the Super Bowl and stuff like that, winning Super Bowls. I mean, unless you want to count not just ever, but I mean, not really though. So I think that he is on Patrick Mahomes' heels in terms of the best in the world conversation. I think he is closer to Patrick Mahomes than he is to Lamar, Burrow, Herbert, May. He's closer to Mahomes than those guys.
I want to start because the Josh versus Lamar thing is like a very toxic situation, and like I'm in the middle of that because obviously I'm a Ravens fan, but I'm a Josh Allen fan as well. Just because I'm a Ravens fan doesn't mean I have to think like Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the league. I was a Ravens fan all my life. I never thought Joe Flacco was better than Peyton Manning. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I could be objective about that. In the regular season, Lamar Jackson is one of the best players best quarterbacks we ever seen in the game. Josh Allen's still a top 5 quarterback in the regular season. Like that's so. The thing is, when we get to the playoffs, and if playoffs is so important, if that's what we're going to over-index on, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, how can you, in good conscience, just think Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen when the gap is like canyon size in terms of play when we get to January? Like it's just not nowhere near the same. On top of, if you want to play the corny, TV head-to-head narrative, he hasn't beaten Josh Allen in the playoffs either. If people want to make it a Lamar Jackson just can't beat the Chiefs, no, he can't beat anybody like in his weight class. Like he can't beat the Chiefs and he can't beat the Bills. Like it's not a Chiefs situation. The Chiefs only apply to the Bills. Like Josh Allen's in a different class than these other quarterbacks stands Patrick Mahomes. Like he's just a different player. Like historically as well. Like he's one of like the 10 most gifted quarterbacks that I've ever seen. Like, and that counts for the old guys too, because obviously I could go back and see they're not doing what he's doing. Like nobody's doing what Josh Allen's doing.
Yeah, he is. I agree that he's one of the 10 most talented quarterbacks in NFL history in terms of just pure talent and skill and value that they bring to a football field. But I do want to touch on on the Jaguars and why they lost this game. Hell of a season from the Jaguars, won 13 games, won a division. I think nobody really predicted that. I think Q, you said they could win the division. I don't think you thought, huh? You picked them, you did. Yeah, I don't think you thought it would look like this. The defense was really good. They were really good stopping the run. The secondary is definitely questionable. But John Hines Island, Trayvon Walker, those guys were really good this year. Trevor Lawrence, over the last 10 weeks of the season, as he tends to do at this point, have a good 8 to 10 week stretch, whether it's to the beginning of the year or to the end of the year. Looked like a franchise quarterback, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He looked like he got comfortable in his offense. And in this game in particular, I think that the reason they lost is because they went away from the running game. The Bills are obviously one of the worst defenses in terms of stopping the run in the entire NFL. And when they were running to the outside in this game, it was working a lot. I mean, Tootin and Etienne were feasting, and they were at probably like 6 to 8 yards per rush, and they were dashing and gashing the Bills defense. And they just went away from it. I think they put the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hands too much. Not to say that he can't like lead them to win. It's just that like it wasn't needed. You had something that was clearly working. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And putting the ball in his hands led to them losing this game. 2 interceptions in this game. He had multiple missed reads, especially in the first half. He was missing a lot of reads. He wasn't playing on time. And on that last shot,
6. You said
what?
They should have had 6 interceptions. Like
yeah, it was
came down with 6 of those things.
Yeah, it was a rough outing from Trevor Lawrence. Don't think he was terrible. Don't think he was good though. He was in the grand scheme of things pretty fine. He has some as Trevor Lawrence does. He has some really good high level throws where it's like, damn, he has one of the best arms in the league, one of the best arm talents in the league, and he has some really boneheaded decisions that make him look like not even a starter. So that inconsistency with Trevor Lawrence appeared in this game. On that last drive, he threw it into the double coverage. Defensive player made a great play, and the game was over before, and the drive was over before it really started. So I think that in the grand scheme of things, the Jaguars have a really good foundation for the future right now. I think Trevor Lawrence is on his way to proving that he is the franchise guy. They have a pretty good receiving core. BTJ had a down season. He had a down season, but I think that he still can be really good in his league. Jacoby Myers is one of the best receivers in terms of separating in the NFL. Parker Washington has came on. They have a really good running back duo as well. And Liam Cohen is one of the best offensive minds in the league. So offensively, they have a really good infrastructure. Their defense can get out their quarterback. They can stop the run. Their secondary, though, is not the greatest whatsoever. So they have clear holes to fill. Pretty much, they got to focus on their secondary and making this defense better. And I think they'll be on their way to being a contender in the AFC. So big picture for the Jaguars. I think they're in a good position. Hell of a year. You can't really be mad, even though you're disappointed with the result. So finally, we can move on to the Texans and Steelers prediction, which is the last game of Wildcard weekend. Q, who do you think is going to win this game?
The Texans should win this game. They have the best defense in the league, going up against a not so great offensive line, a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, a not a great receiving core, not a decent running back room, but not a great running back room. It should be if the Texans offense has any sort of a pulse, if CJ can play competent Davis Mills level football, they should probably win this game scoring 17 points. If they score 17 points, the Texans should win this game against the Steelers. That being said, The Steelers' defensive line has been playing well the last couple of weeks, especially since TJ Watt has been back. That could throw a wrinkle into the offensive game plan for another very bad offensive line in the Texans unit. But I think order meet its level, and the Texans should squeak by with this win. Like I said, it sounded like I'd say 21, 21-13 should be easy. Kind of a boring game. We probably start watching after the third quarter.
I think the Texans are going to dominate this team. Don't think it's going to be relatively close at all. The defense is all world for sure, and the offense is at times can be lethargic. But the Steelers aren't world beaters on defense. They create turnovers for sure, but they may be able to get to to see a trial for sure. They'll be able to do that. But after repeated Steelers not being able to score, their offense is going to eventually get some production because the Steelers aren't like a great unit. So I think the Steelers better keep it close to begin the game. By the third quarter, I would expect the Texans to be up by 2 scores and then just handily win the game. The Steelers' offensive weapons aren't good enough. The running game isn't good enough. Aaron Rodgers, while though I think all things considered, he's been good this year. He is not going to be able to perform well against this elite defense. And if he does, man, shout out my GOAT, man, because this is a really big, tall task for him to do. And I think the Steelers are going to lose again in the first round and have some tough decisions to make. Because at some point, I mean, you gotta get tired of losing in the first round. We'll come to you guys after that game with more about the Steelers' future and some divisional round predictions. That'll probably be tonight, and we'll probably release it tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Love you guys, and we are out.